This has major implications for the San Antonio Spurs. Gregg Popovich, our GOAT, the GOAT, is ahead of schedule health-wise in his return back to the sideline for the San Antonio Spurs, and we're going to break it down here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment moving forward by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss all of the great content we have coming for you. And speaking of great things we've got a partnership here with Hot Takes. We are kicking off a March Madness bracket for the channel. We have partnered with the Hot Takes app and other digest channels for this event. It is completely free to sign up. Just download the Hot Takes app, find the digest group to join the competition. This is really exciting as there are over $25,000 in prizes to be won. And since there are a much smaller pool of people participating, there is a real chance in winning big compared to other bracket challenges out there. Check out the link below or scan the QR code to download the app. And make sure you use the promo code DIGEST in all caps to get exclusive perks when signing up. Again, this is completely free to sign up and you have a serious chance to win big. And if there is any trouble, reach out to us with the email down below, and we are really excited to see you in this March Madness pool. I'm really excited about this thing with Hot Takes because there's a real chance to actually get some revenue bump from it. Some real live actual revenue and a real chance, not a 1 in a million chance. So I'm excited about that, but I am also excited to get talking about this with Gregg Popovich. The latest update on Gregg Popovich's health, and he is ahead of schedule. The San Antonio Spurs legendary coach is reportedly ahead of schedule in his recovery after suffering a mild stroke earlier in November. We all know about the health scare from Gregg Popovich. We heard the update. Me and Josh actually did a duo video on it when it was official that Gregg Popovich was not going to be returning for this year. It was also right after the Wemby news, so it was like, okay, no Gregg Popovich, no Victor Wembanyama. Now it's no De'Aaron Fox. From there on, it's like, okay, let's just get it for next season. And next season, if we're going to be true championship contenders or at least deep playoff contenders, this guy is going to have his hands on the organization and on this team in some capacity, and he is absolutely going to be hopefully in a position to do that, and this is a great sign for it. The San Antonio Spurs head coach is making significant progress in his recovery after suffering a mild stroke back in November. According to Harrison Barnes, Popovich is ahead of schedule in his rehab. That's via ESPN. Another source noted that in just 5 months, he has advanced to the stage that typically takes stroke patients 9 months to reach. And the thing is, like, obviously the stroke happens, but your body goes into such, I am not a doctor. I'm not trying to break any of this down. I am not the guy to come to for the stroke breakdown. But it is just obviously such a big toll on your body, and with him being of an advanced age, you're going to not have the same immune system and the same buildup for this kind of stuff. So Gregg Popovich being there 5 months where other patients are at 9 months, does it shock any of you? No. Does it shock me? It doesn't. Why? Because Popovich is always a winner, and Popovich has always been a guy who is ahead of schedule and ahead of whatever. So, like, if it's a competition, he's going to win the competition. That's just how I feel about it. This isn't clearly a competition, but this is a trying to get as best and healthy as possible, and the quickest that was going to happen was going to be the route that happened with Gregg Popovich, just because that's who he is. That's what he's always been for the Spurs. But however, it remains uncertain whether the legendary coach will continue leading the Spurs next season. I personally think that if he is not on the sidelines coaching, that if he can get into the Danny Ainge, the Brad Stevens roles where he can be kind of the executive decision-making, helping the coach, whomever that is, if it's Mitch Johnson, if it is somebody else we hire elsewhere, but being able to help out in that capacity, but at the same time, still having his DNA and his fingerprints over the organization and being able to really help orchestrate. I mean, we saw Pat Riley do this. I mean, we've seen Pat Riley do this forever in Miami. I mean, he obviously in 05, 06 came down and was like, hey, I'm going to coach it. And then he was like, no, Eric Spoelstra's doing it. I don't care what you say, LeBron, Wade, whatever. I got my guy, we're going to do this, and obviously we know what's happened there in Miami. They've been great. But at 75, Popovich is a Hall of Famer who has been with the San Antonio Spurs since 1996, holds the record for the most wins in NBA history, and has guided the franchise to 5 championships, been to 6 finals. Additionally, he is a 3-time Coach of the Year, and we know with that Coach of the Year, it doesn't always go with the best coach, best record, because if it was, he's been the best coach in the league, or if not, on the short list of 2, depending on what you mean with Phil Jackson or later with Steve Kerr or whomever you want to add in there. But he's been a top 2 coach really in the league since he's walked into the league. So Gregg Popovich we know what Gregg Popovich is. He is one of one. But with interim head coach Mitch Johnson at the helm, the Spurs are currently sitting 13th in the Western Conference at 28-39. Of course, we know that has a lot to do with the fact that they have had injuries over this last month. Obviously, starting with Wemby, now to Fox. Clearly, Popovich has been out. And then we know, as Spurs fans, we've all watched it. We've seen the lack of inconsistency. There's been some questionable rotations in the rotation. There's just been a lot of things that the Spurs could point to this year that have gone out of the way of how we thought things were going to go, especially after that De'Aaron Fox trade. But the season once had promise, hopes, the playoff push, obviously, with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. Now we look ahead to next season. And this is this year. I actually want to look right here. So this is what we were looking at this year. 24 points a game from Wemby, about 20 from Fox, 16 from Vassell, 14 from Castle, 13 from Johnson, 12 from Barnes, 11 from Sochan, close to 10 from Champagnie, 9, and obviously that doesn't highlight the assist from Chris Paul, which is what he's there to do. That right there is 9 guys. Whether Chris Paul's here or not, whatever. This team is in such a great spot moving forward that if Gregg Popovich is there, you just have even all the more confidence with his basketball acumen, with his basketball history. He is a savant of the game. We all know this. He's forgotten more basketball than most of us watching this and doing this even know. Like, this guy just honestly is an amazing basketball ambassador, and he bleeds. That'd be really bad if he really bled in black and silver, but he does because he loves himself some San Antonio Spurs. But Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle, that's your big 3 for the future. And I had talked in a previous video, the last video that I did, I had talked about Stephon Castle being compared to Manu Ginobili, but I wasn't talking about Manu Ginobili the player and Stephon Castle the player. Those are way different. Completely different players. So anyone who got misconstrued on that, I hope you didn't, because they're absolutely 2 very separate players. One's a Skywalker who is an elite defender because of his athleticism. The other one is an elite playmaker regardless of what the stats are, and just one of the more unique players in NBA history. I'm not comparing them. In Stephon Castle, I know comparing him being able to be that 3rd star that Manu Ginobili was in the Big 3. Like, if you want a comparison, the same thing as Chris Bosh was that 3rd star in the Miami Heat Big 3, as Ray Allen was the Big 3, or the 3rd star in the Big 3 of the Boston Celtics Big 3, as Klay Thompson was the 3rd star, or Draymond Green, depending what you want, in the Big 3 for the Warriors. Like, he has the capabilities of being that 3rd star, but he is nothing like Manu Ginobili in the sense of he is the same player. They could have the same level of impact on the floor for their respective teams that they are. But you've got Wemby, you've got De'Aaron Fox, you've got Stephon Castle, Jeremy Sochan, then you've got, obviously, depending on what you get for a big, obviously right now we got Bismack, Charles Bassey's there, but this is going to be a highly touted destination in the offseason. We've done videos here talking about Kevin Durant, and I know a lot of people aren't really with that because of the fact that Kevin Durant's older. But hey, you get Kevin Durant for 2 years. If you give up Devin Vassell on a couple picks, I'm not mad at that, because then after that, you know what? You still got Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and Victor Wembanyama. We have so much flexibility right now that we just have the option and the possibility next year to do so much. And we have that, and if we are able to have Gregg Popovich for that, it just completes the entire thing. People want to come and play for Gregg Popovich. That's one. And two, the people want to come and play with Victor Wembanyama. So we get those two pieces back. The Spurs are going to be in business next year, and it looks like as of right now, we are ahead of schedule on the Gregg Popovich front, which is something that I can't be more happy about myself. I mean, I'm glad that he is healthy and that he is getting healthier by the day, that this wasn't anything greatly serious. Obviously a mild stroke. There's clearly implications that are serious from it, and I don't want to make it sound like it was just something run-of-the-mill and not even really that important, but he is able to overcome all of these health struggles, and Gregg Popovich is working toward at least being back in the San Antonio Spurs organization on a daily basis in some capacity. That is the hope, that is the goal, that's the want from me, and I believe that's the want from all of you. But you guys let me know in the comments there what you think about Gregg Popovich's the article rather, of Gregg Popovich being ahead of schedule, and what you think this could mean for the San Antonio Spurs moving forward. This has been Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be talking with you guys very soon.